So we're just gonna introduce ourselves as ourselves now. So I'm Tracy Constantine.
And I'm Tag. And
Oh, maybe I should just say my first name. All right, start over. Hi, I'm Tracy.
hi, I'm Tag.
All right,
And this is my
front of stage. Front of stage today. Hey,
bike.
for
Yeah.
all the people at home and all of us here on the interwebs.
Here we go.
I
Ah,
want to talk this morning. I want to start out by first. Okay, well, this is interesting. So I'm just getting a message from the God or the universe or the gods that we
divine.
need to ground a little bit. And so I think I'm just gonna ask everybody to take a nice deep breath in and out with me. And feel connected to the inner earth and the magnet that is at the center of our beautiful Mother Earth. Oh. Mm. And and connection to our allies in the sky. So I just wanted to, I'm very swollen right now, and I have not been in the medical field, we call that edema. And what that means is so normally our blood runs in our vessels. That would be normal place for our fluid. And we also have, we have all different kinds of vessels. We have blood vessels, we have lymph vessels, we have probably vessels I don't even know. We have energy vessels, I'm sure. And for some reason, and it's a lot of times it's atmospheric. And I know that I think it was like 97%. Oh, you have rainbows. Do you have like little chimey things in your window or something?
Yes, yes. Those would be the meditation mobiles that I make.
Oh yeah, well this is the first time I've seen it, and so the rainbow beings want to come in and say hi, so that was cool. And so back to my spiel here. I've had a blood issue for a long time, and blood is about, I look at my body the same way I look at the earth, and if I have a blood issue, that means that the fluid there's ancestral wounds in my body or something that is causing this to come to my awareness so that I can ultimately figure out why and do the work, take the actions that are hard and I don't want to do, but a lot of them will come up by listening to in meditation and also listening to my external world reflect back to me who I am. When I am disturbed about somebody else, that's because I need to look at that shadow aspect in myself. And so I had a long-term relationship, 20 freaking years. It was up, down, sideways, whatever. And that's when I started getting, sick. I diagnosed myself because I had a thermography report that said I had pelvic congestion syndrome and I was having issues with my pelvis for a long time. And I kept having all different types of surgeries and just like, get it out of me. Because that's what we do when we feel like it's physical. And that's what we've been taught by the patriarchy and patriarchal mindset. It's not any one person I'm blaming it on, and it's not men. It's just a mindset that we can remove these parts of ourselves that are ill. And I was like, yeah, sign me up, you know? And plus that's the environment I was in, was the, you know, the hospital. And um so anyways, after I remember the first time I'll call it a prayer, um, was when I was driving down the street and I had the surgery to take out my gallbladder, just hoping that it would fix whatever. And and not only did he take out my gallbladder, but he took out my appendix and he ruptured my bile duct, and I had bile leaking in my system, and I almost died, and I had
God.
to go back in for emergency surgery, and nobody believed me. So I laid there with Jesus for 24 hours in pain because I couldn't get any pain medicine would make the bile come out more. It was a crazy situation.
Oh my gosh, Tracy. Wow.
And so then after all of that, I still had the issue I was having previous to that, which
Yeah.
was the pelvic congestion. And I had a lot of pain in my on the other side of the gallbladder where my stomach is.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm getting to I'm in a roundabout. It's almost there to the end. And so I was driving and I screamed to the top of my lungs in my car, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I can't do anything right. Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah.
And I heard a clear message in my mind's eye that said, you're going the right way. Just don't have any more surgeries.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I heard that very clearly.
Yeah.
And at that point, what okay, so now that the doctors are believing me because I have these reports from the thermography and I have all the research that I did for over weeks, right? And I'm showing, I have a manila folder. I'm going to my doctor's appointments. I'm bringing my manila folder. I got it all with me, right? I was like, I'm a nurse. Like I can help other people's symptoms. I need to be able to help my own, right?
Yeah.
So, and I lay it all out, and you should have seen my gynecologist's face, right? He's not even practice anymore. He's an old man, right? Like, and after this, I'm like, why do I have an old man looking at my vagina telling me what about my vagina? Right. But because I was in a trance. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe not all the way I was in a trance. I needed to learn this lesson. I think it was from many karmic lifetimes that I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in myself, and it brings some tears to my eyes. And I didn't believe in my body's ability to heal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then if I expanded this even more, I didn't believe in the earth's ability to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think on a grander scale, the consciousness of the earth, I came here as a spirit so that the earth could teach me how to love her.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
She could teach me how to love her, and I want to love her because she's beautiful. She's got so many obstacle courses that she gives me that it's amazing. And not only that, in my recent, and it's going to get to the edema that I'm having right now because this is like kind of an ending
Mm-hmm.
to a long initiation process for me to reconnect with the mother father, and not only the mother father but also see the son daughter
Mm-hmm.
and what that looks like. And so okay, so I'm in the doctor's office. I'm showing them this is what I got. They finally say, it is what you have. Oh my God, we believe you. Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. It only took like 10, I don't even know. Probably, I always exaggerate, but I would say the big awful pain where I was shitting my pants on the daily because
Oh,
my
no.
body couldn't figure out if it had diarrhea or constipation, and so every time I farted, I'd shit my pants.
Never tried the part.
It was awful. I worked as a nurse in a hospital, and I was just stopped being an active alcoholic, and so I think a lot of this stuff was coming up, right? Like the stuff that I didn't want to look at, and that's why I became an alcoholic. And everybody knew that I was a recovering addict in where I worked, and this is a great story. I'm gonna keep going with this. And so because I was in so much pain, I couldn't stand up for like more than a couple hours at a time. And as a nurse, you have to stand or sit for a
Right.
long period of time,
All the time, all day.
all day. And so I would take long breaks in the bathroom. Like I would say, usually you go to the bathroom a couple minutes, right? I would take like, say, I'd be in there maybe 4 or 5 minutes and just a little extra longer, because I would have to pull up the garbage can next to the toilet and lay down flat so that my blood would run back up, because it was all pooling in my pelvic area, and it would cause severe back pain. And so pelvic congestion syndrome, this is a known thing. What happens is our vessels in our pelvis area, they are not elastic, and it has to do with your estrogen, I think. And so I was going premenopause, I was like all that shit, and I think it was just because I had inflammation, and I had, I think, past energetic wounds that ultimately was very deep in the womb space, right? Like, and I think a lot of us women, and I think the earth herself wants to look at this stuff now and process this stuff and cry and be angry and be frustrated and all of that shit, because we are allowed to feel this, right?
Right.
And she is allowed to feel this. And if she wants to blow up a fucking volcano, then let her, Yeah. Shit. It's not, like I hear about a lot of religious people will say, the dark earth, and it's gonna get, and like it's a dark place and it's evil and all this shit. And it's not. It's natural. It's a natural world.
Right.
It's the animalistic thing that it's a gift. Anyway, so go back to, okay, so now I'm laying on the garbage can in the toilet, and this is what I've succumbed to, right? And of course, I'm in my mind, I'm like, God, this is awful.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to quit my job. I felt like I needed to quit my job, but I really liked my job. But obviously, I'm going to call it God. God wanted me to go a different route, and obviously God wanted me to go this route. And I was like dragging my feet, because it's scary to leave the system, leave I don't even want to call it the system, leave the medical world in the scientific medical world, right?
Yeah.
So, and I swear to God, I'm getting to the end soon.
Okay.
I want to hear your feedback. So ended up quitting, and ended up going through, I just wanted to chime in this one last thing. So after I heard that message, don't have any more surgeries, of course, I'm like, I'm giving all this paperwork to, the doctors. And now I'm not at the gynecologist anymore. Now I'm at the radiologist.
Yeah.
And like, it's an actual sub specialty, something radiologist, I can't even remember the name of it, but so what they wanted to do to me was they wanted to put metal coils in my veins and kill them.
Oh my gosh.
This is a normal treatment. You can look this up for pelvic congestion syndrome. This is how they treat it.
Mm-hmm.
They put metal coils in your vessels. And of course, I was still, even with that, with the message coming through, because I'm stubborn and I didn't believe in this energy. I didn't believe in it. Because I was maybe I was still so scared of it. I was running from it for so long that
Yeah.
I had created a darkness in it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
It was my own fear that I was seeing that was between me and this beautiful energy, this natural energy.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and I could not get that out of my head. That voice that came and said, "Do not have any more surgeries." And so I went against everything my brain wanted me to do. And I was like, I'm going to listen to this voice and not have any more surgery. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because with further research on the whole metal coil thing, what happens is our body is a natural being. And what it does is it will compensate and find other ways to flow this blood. And then what happens is now another vessel will become overly used and it will expand. And then that one will explode. And if you look up this treatment and this diagnosis on the interwebs, you'll see that these people just keep having to put more and more coils in their body.
Right.
And for me, being as sensitive as I am, and I think a lot of people are very sensitive. I think we're all sensitive beings. Maybe some more than the others, but just having one metal coil in my body probably would have rejected it, you know.
Probably.
So anyways, didn't have any more surgeries. Yay. Now, moving to today. Today, it's been a long journey since then, and I left that 20-year relationship. I stayed in a one room. I stayed in my healing space actually for about a year and a half. And then I was supposed to be in this house, and the apartment upstairs, the only apartment upstairs, opened up, of course.
Yeah.
And it opened up from a gentleman and his daughter who were not a part of my story, but they definitely triggered something from my past lives, this life, whatever, right? And so it was something that I needed to look at in my own psyche and how I was interacting with, and I'm just going to say, an overabundance of external things to make me happy.
Yes.
And I needed to look at that. And so now where I'm at now was something has shifted, and I cleared out everything in my basement, right? And I'm talking about my body.
Yeah.
And it's in my waking life too, but I'm going to talk about it just from me, because it has nothing to do with the external right now. It has to do with I was holding on to old wounds in my pelvic area because they kept me safe. Or at least I had the illusion that they kept me safe, but really they were keeping me safe.
Right.
And so now that I have cleared that out or created space, something is going on in my body where sleepless nights, a lot of heat flashes, and a lot of edema, a lot of fluid going from the place where it normally is into what we call third spacing, which is between the vessels and the skin. And I've never been, I've been, swollen before, but like this is like noticeable. And so Normally, back in my old days, I would panic and go to the doctor.
Yeah. Save me, save me.
What's wrong with me? Right. And now so what I've done, I'll just kind of give a little recap of the last couple of days. I am trying to keep a good mindset, right? And being, making sure I go on walks when I need to and take breaks and ask for breaks, whether I'm working or not working, and I did a foot detox, which really helped. I've been using my essential oils and I've been using my massager quite a bit. And taking some baths with Epsom salt. And it's maintaining so that my body can do what it needs to do, because I know that this too shall pass.
Right.
And that is my story for this morning.
Yes. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Can you relate to that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I can. Very much so. Yes. And it's very frustrating how we have to prove our innocence to professionals that are here to help us push through these situations. If they don't see it, or if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And you use your voice to be able to express the discomfort in your life, you know? And so we start looking for answers outside of us, why?
Well,
And the
I
question.
don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel this. And I don't know if it's anybody's fault or if it just blossomed this way, but I believe that it's because when you look at the body in pieces like that, you can't possibly
That's right. You can't
see
compartmentalize the body.
what's going on.
All connected. The body is all connected. You cannot this morning compartmentalize symptoms, because what is happening, that has to manifest someplace. It's going to show up, and it's going to show up in the weakest part of the body at that particular time.
Do you think that and this is my 2 cents on my story, the story that I shared today. Do you think that and I only know these 2 ways, I'm sure there's more testings, and the HTMA and thermography, because I'm just saying these 2 diagnostic tests because they look at the body on a whole level.
Right.
Do you think that and this is where I had the issue, was that I was telling people that I got a thermography and that this is what it said, and they said that test was not up to their standards, right? And so or wasn't recognized. I think that's what they said. It wasn't recognized. And so don't you think that both parties could actually be beneficial in someone's life if we used whole body testing to then, to base things off of, and then ultimately use that as a map or a grid, and then ultimately then you could bring in, if you needed specialists, if you needed, okay, this is one of the main problems.
You would think so, but all that is political. This is what it is. It is just political. The popular vote wins.
I love that you bring that shit up. Because you know why? I don't think, I'm like, I am really body focused, earth focused, and to be honest with you, I'm not savvy in the politics. I just can't, some things that you just can't,
Right. It's not in the awareness.
yeah, I can't educate myself on it because it's like a new language. And if you haven't, you have to study that for a long time.
Yes.
Is that true?
Politics?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Are you savvy in it?
It's just, it depends on where you enter
Okay.
from. Like me, myself, I was in my early 20s. I was like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. And so I was working for a CPA accountant.
Okay.
And that's how I entered that arena. And
And is it fruitful I mean, do you like it? Is it fun to kind of dabble in it a little bit, learn about it? What do you know? What do you know about politics? Where's your passions and in it?
well, I have lots of passions. By nature, I'm very curious, adventurous. And, when you study the money, you can see where it flows.
Okay.
Okay. So, there's masters and puppeteers behind the curtain that dictate and control the masses, you know? And so, like I said, the popular vote wins. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what the solution is or the invention is. It's the popular vote. It's popularity.
So would you say, and I'm just going to go out on a limb with this, it's not even really politics anymore. It's really not. It's not about the main vein of it. I'm sure that, this isn't all of it, but
Well, from your position, which most people, including myself, is coming from the idea of our conditioning. You go to the doctor for any issues. We don't rely on Mother Earth or natural healing at all. It's hocus pocus. That's what we have been taught, which is really, you're changing the narrative to fit whatever is trying to be promoted or pushed through a popular system.
but ultimately they are harnessing that hocus pocus to create the medicine that they have too.
Yes, and
All that shit comes from Earth.
from Earth. Exactly. And it has its compounds and its chemicals that are, mixed together that have a shelf life. It breaks down, it's repackaged, it's engineered. It's not natural. We have everything in nature is abundant.
It's just it goes back to that thing where you can make any medicine into a poison, and it's so concentrated that our bodies, and not only concentrated, but also it's one note, I'll call it, because like one size fits all. And that's why there still is pharmacies that mix medications per individual.
Right, compounds. Yeah, I've ventured down that avenue as well. And the same thing exists. Who's in control? The money aspect, the popular vote. It's the same. I see the same cycles, the same patterns happening in every structure that we have. That's why it's really falling apart. And people are asking the questions, And there's one thing that I want to make a point of, because even in our spiritual structure, we have the elements. And even in science, we have the elements. Even in religion, we have the elements. And all these infrastructures, we have the elements. But no one really talks about the ethers, what's unseen that cannot be identified.
I love that. That's my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yes.
The unseen, because I did not realize how much of an influence it is, right? And I don't think you do, and I don't think people will realize until you experience it.
Yes.
You have to experience it. And I think that
we all of us have experienced it, but we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know the source, But when you spend a lifetime in a spiritual healing world, you fine tune your skills, to be able to answer these questions and help people along their path, So doubting our capabilities is the biggest brick wall that we run into when trust is unseen, Okay, so when we start asking the questions of why, WHY, we're looking outside. But when we start asking the questions of how, it makes it internal.
Explain that more.
Okay. So why? Seek and you shall find. Okay. That can be a scavenger hunt. You're seeking a solution outside of yourself to an internal problem that is designed by you. Trauma has to go somewhere. We didn't ask for it. That's why it's trauma. It's traumatizing. That energy has to go somewhere and it manifests within the body. Okay. When you start asking how, the body, the unknown, the faith starts answering. It starts answering the question that you have. How is this happening? How do I solve this problem? How do I receive the information? How do I process this? How do I eliminate this from my body? So when you start asking those questions, it's internal because you're not on the scavenger hunt of why. So that trauma starts to unfold. And I
get what you're saying, because the why puts you in a victim mentality. Why is it happening? I definitely was there for sure. And then I did get to the how. How can I look at this differently? How can I take my next step?
Yes. Yes. How? And that's part of the ethers because it's unknown. You can't see it. You can't hear it. You can't taste it. You can't touch it. It is unseen. You get the answers and people are like, well, how did you figure that out? And it's just like, I ask the questions. And so when they hear that, they're like, okay, well, who did you ask? Surely you're not capable of coming up with this.
Oh, I love that. I love that because that brings me to people would say like, well, who taught you?
Exactly. So
the universe taught me.
They're projecting their own, issues on you.
Who is your teacher? Oh, and if it wasn't somebody like, renowned, then you're not.
Yes.
What if I just said Jesus taught me himself?
and then they start, making you seem like you're crazy.
Right.
And you pick up on that energy and you start doubting yourself. Yeah, until
you really know. Like it's I have had many teachers, all different kinds, and I mean, some of my biggest teachers were my ex-boyfriends, to be honest with you. And they reflected back to me the things I really needed to see in close
Yeah.
proximity to,
And I bet you started listening to your body
oh,
holistically,
sure,
whole entire thing, because
sure,
what's manifesting down here is going to manifest up here.
sure.
And your external world will start falling apart because your internal world is not balanced. You know,
Yeah,
you handed over, you gave them permission to fuck shit up, and they're not whole, and you never really came to any terms and agreements within your own relationship. You're basing it on what's outside of you and what you grew up with and what you want to have and don't have, and it's just a vicious cycle. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. No, not at all. I'll be the first one that will say freaking perfect. You know what I mean? But I know what I want. And if you want to have a conversation about it, okay.
well, that's interesting you bring that up, because I think that was the question that projected me into myself, at the end, I'll say, of a cycle of um, sexual relationships that I wanted, that were based on an old wound that I didn't know. It was an illusion, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I had a psychologist at the time, which was interesting because, I've always had, like, therapists, counselors, whatever, that kind of thing. And we talk about
All my life.
stuff, right? But then I got a psychologist, and she looked more at the brain function and the journey back to self. And I really did like her, um, her setup and the way she kind of, I needed what she had for a little while. But anyways, the last question she asked me, or one of the last questions she asked me was, well, what do you want?
Right.
And I realized that I wanted someone to want me. And what I was getting was I was getting people who thought that I needed them, right? That I needed them to survive.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at this and I'm like, why? Like, I know how powerful I am. And I know I have just as much power as every other human now, right? Like, I had a medicine man say to me, like, what do you sit for? And now I want to take up my full seat in life. I don't want to take somebody else's seat. I don't want to take partially somebody else's, partially mine. Adele says something like, I want to stop bleeding into you, and I want you to stop fucking bleeding into me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to know what my seat looks like, and I want to take my full seat. And I realized whatever I was still calling in unconsciously, because this goes back to the ether thing, because it's like what you say, words, pronunciations, vibrations, sounds, that all has a specific meaning to this unknown space, these unseen energies.
Yeah.
And I am projecting out this sound that is still calling in this other half of me externally that says, I'm going to protect you and help you because you're acting, you said you needed help. And now I'm like, I don't want help. I just want somebody to have fun with, like, and share the present moment with. And
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop calling in this based on old shit and old sounds.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But and I want to go back to the boyfriends, because I've been there too. And when we have those needs and we have those wants, what we tend to do is separate them instead of marrying those two energies together, because it brings balance, And even though exes did not work out, the lesson showed the lesson in that situation made you remember who you are,
Yeah. When
So
you say marriage, you mean the need and want
union,
marriage? That's interesting to think
a
about.
big word is union. When you union those two meanings together,
Yeah.
it creates a balance.
Yeah,
And
like that's some things in life um that sound very simple in words. When it's that one, I probably will ruminate on for, I don't know, 7 days or so. What does it look like to union my needs and wants? What does that look like for me? I don't know, because I've never I probably have always looked at those in two separate places. What do I want? Okay, and what do I need? Well, how do I need and want the same thing? And can that happen? And what does that look like? And so it's interesting.
ask how. How does it look?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
How does it look for me? How does it look for me? And you'll get the answers, and
Yeah.
it'll take you back. It'll you'll step back, and you're like, oh,
I love you.
it's one of those things like, how did I not see this before?
Yeah, I love it.
So, ask the question, how does that look like for me? Because it's going to be different than what we see, hear, taste, touch, and feel, what we're shown, what we've been conditioned to believe. And is how we ask the questions, so the unknown can speak to us, and it helps us become selective without judgment. It's like, oh, okay, I see you are who you are, and I'm sorry. I hug and release. You say goodbye to that person. It's not saying forever. It's saying right now. It's like, well, I'm selective on how my needs and wants are fulfilled and how I'm going to fulfill yours, because it is an equal energy exchange. And so when you discover that, you don't have to go through all the bullshit behind the Jedi mind tricks that both of we play on each other to have your needs and wants and desires fulfilled.
Yeah, I think I think how is a scary term.
Yes.
For people and for me, right? Like what I'm after you said that, and I'm trying to apply that in my mind. I immediately what my mind followed that up with is, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to know. I don't want to get but
so let me ask you, where was your heart? Because when you ask how, you have your mind and your heart uniting, and you're creating a manifestation within yourself to receive the answers.
My heart is my heart is scared, and I can feel my heart scared. Like I can feel this, and and to be honest with you, Tag, I'm gonna label it as scared, but I think it might be excited, or it might be something that is not scary, but I've always placed it in those places of fear and anxiety.
I think you have the right word from the beginning, scared,
Yeah.
because it takes trauma to, it takes time for the trauma of the past to release itself from the body, you know.
I'm
So,
telling you, I'm so swollen. I can't even like, holy shnikes.
so you're helping it along with self-care, self-massaging, walking, praying, talking about it. You're helping it along because all of that is an active, um, it's a active release versus releasing of the mental.
And you know what? I think I might ask ChatGPT this because I feel like the third spacing, the fluid shifting to one from one space to another. I worked in a and I won't make this too long because we're close to the hour and we can pick this up on the next one, but I worked in a rehab for, some years, and what I noticed the pattern was when people got sober, they would swell. They would swell.
Yeah.
They would swell. That was a normal thing. Like, and of course they would panic because they're like, I've never had this much fluid, and you're like, and me seeing it in every single person, I'm like, it's going to happen. You're going to get through it. You're going to get better. You'll be okay. Right.
Yeah.
And so I know that that's where I'm at. But what I want, what I'm going to ask ChatGPT, and depending on kind of what comes through, and also where we're at on Monday when we reconvene with this, what on an energetic level, what is the fluid being in the vessels, and then the fluid being outside of the vessels. Maybe there's a reason energetically for that. Maybe there's a purpose where it needs to extract some things out of the vessel so that the vessel isn't as overwhelmed, and then it can re-enter and then excrete. I'm not sure. Or is it does it move the fluid from the vessel or from its home into this kind of say holding area, and it just excretes from the skin? Or like, what is that third space? It is kind of the ether of the body. I don't like,
I think that is a good question to ask ChatGPT about, because I've asked the same question, and what had been revealed to me is that most coping mechanisms that creates an addict is dehydrating to the body, smoking, drugs, alcohol. And so when you stop doing those things, where does that energy go? The body retains it. You're not processing it. How can it process? Because you've learned how to cope with disappointments differently through a chemical exchange.
oh, that's where it's at. Because ultimately, so here's the thing, okay? And I want to bring this in too, because so I haven't done drugs, alcohol for 9 years. It'll be 9 years September. And 9 or 10, let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, 9 years in September.
Congrats.
And thank you. And so before I started swelling this time, right? And like, I mean, my body it feels like I got hit by a truck. Okay.
Yeah.
And I did do some work clearing out the basement. So there was some physical activity there.
Yeah.
But I would say it was no more physical activity than any other time. Like, I climb mountains, I do yoga, I do these things, right? So what's so different with this time? I didn't change my dietary habits. I didn't get rid of anything except for stuff that wasn't even mine in the basement of a house that's not even mine, right? I mean, well, I live in it, but like the amount of root shit that is coming up right now, it has to do with the unknown.
Yeah.
This is why I trust that this stuff is very real. It's probably more real than what we think is real. And it has more power than, the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. You know what I think it is? Because I'm sitting here sharing space with you while you tell your story.
Mhm.
And what I see is that you're involved mind, body, spirit, and the unknowing, and you've aligned it to say, hey, I'm creating this change. It needs to be cleared out. So it's attached, it's manifested in the womb because you had a desire, a passion to start cleaning it up. Your mind is aligned with your womb because while you're physically moving things out, which has to do with action. The heart is a pump. It pumps, um, you know, it pumps the body. It move, so energy creates energy. I don't want to get into the science of that part simply because of the checkers out there. And so you're in alignment, and on a subconscious and a conscious level, you're going to feel better. It takes discipline to go into a gym and pump it out. And it also takes a clean diet and a clean body and, releasing of the mental baggage. You just applied all that on a holistic level that is aligned to take that action and match it up. So you're able to release that energy physically, spiritually, mentally. Did I say physically? I said
Yeah.
physically. Yeah. And on a deeper level of knowing that your body has a complete release and knowing that you're going to feel better. And you probably started feeling better while you were unpacking it. That's
Oh my God.
what I see.
I'll tell you what, when
So
I go downstairs,
water.
when I go down, okay. It got to a point where there was a couple of things left in the basement, and I just did not have the energy to move them out. And so I do this too, and this is interesting because I even do this. It was very much like hiking a mountain because there was a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And and I always say that the last third of the mountain is the hardest. It's it's kind of where my brain says, okay, you're good. You did a lot. You're amazing. You don't have to get to the top. You don't have to do that and it's the hardest. So just turn around now, whatever. And so I did end up stopping that day, but then my brain, I think you're right. My heart was directing me because it wasn't my brain, because my brain was saying, I'm tired. I'm good. It was my heart saying, there's some left there and you're going to miss your window of opportunity to complete. And when I took the last box out and it felt so different, but I kept hearing in my heart, I don't even want to say hearing because it wasn't a hearing. I kept knowing you're complete. It's complete. It is complete. What happens from here on out is not up to you. It's other people's work and you've done your part. And what what we have asked you to do.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I don't know who the we is. It could have been Saint Germain. It could have been oh yeah, it could have been, because I love all the cultures and I love all the gods and all the fractals of, maybe there's just one God, all these fractals. That's what I believe. It's one universal pattern, but there's many, many different um, sub patterns, and they're all considered godly.
Union.
We are considered godly. We are gods within ourselves. And but I knew I had this knowing, it was complete. And that's not the first time that's happened, like, in my life. There's just times where I'm like, okay, I don't feel complete. Even in my healings, right? I'll get to a place, and this is when when you do energy work and when you realize that you're not in control, and when you can completely let go, and I'm off in space somewhere doing whatever, just like enjoying the silence and the work that is being flowed through me as a channel. And then I come to a place and I hear, you're done, like, it's complete, you can drum now. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's not me. I don't know, you know what I mean? That's the ethers that is directing it.
Yeah, but you're in receiving mode to hear it and
that.
to feel it.
Yeah.
And to be it and to do it,
Oh, yeah. It took a lot of work to allow that energy, because those energies they're of higher frequency. They will, and this is a message to anybody out there who is experiencing these type of symptoms, because when you're going through a spiritual awakening, you will have nausea. You will have like certain issues, like skin issues, breathing issues, stuff like that. So,
Right.
Like allergies,
problems.
Because it's like
everyone.
It's like acclimating.
Yeah.
The body is acclimating to this higher, I don't even want to say higher frequency, I'll just say different frequencies that are
require fine tuning.
Fine tuning. Love that.
Yeah. It requires fine tuning. And fine tuning is exactly what it is. And it's not going to feel good, but it's necessary in order for you to feel good.
And I needed somebody who has gone through it. Yeah. I mean, when I was putting down the bottle and the drugs and stuff, I could not have done that with people who did not know what I was going through. Exactly. I couldn't have. Yeah. There's no freaking way. I needed somebody to be like, you're gonna be okay. You're not gonna die.
Yeah. But we don't, it's hard to accept that from, like you said, someone who hasn't gone through it, and they're just using their book knowledge and the instruments that they can accumulate to guide you. It doesn't work that way,
Just another protocol, Tag. Just another protocol.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm saying this to bring awareness, not to bash. Everything has its process. Everything has its purpose, and it has its place. And sometimes,
but in relation to we're talking about specifically right now, we're talking about the unknown and the ethers and these energies that
and doctors
are unfamiliar.
Physicians.
And ultimately how, like you just said, they all have a place. And so this stuff has a place as well.
Yeah, there is no bashing for me. There is no right or wrong. It just is. Pain is something that is another method of learning how you need to listen to yourself. We can go through it painfully, or we can sit with it energetically and get into the receiving mode to know what direction we need to take. This is why it's said that everything is for you. It's working for your betterment. It actually really is. But some of us are hard-headed, and I'm speaking of myself, that I need the pain. It's almost like an addiction to be addicted to the pain in order to make the change. You know?
Ooh, that's a good topic, girl. But we are at the hour, and so we should definitely pick up on pain on our next.
Let's see what unfolds, because you know, sometimes that's not what we're called to focus on. Sometimes we're called to focus on something else. You know,
you're right.
So,
But if we get into pain anymore, it's going to be another hour, and I'm good. So I got to make it to the farmer's market because I got to bring back my my, what the heck is that called? Compost shit. So I'm Tracy.
You're shit, compost shit. You're shit.
I am Tracy, and it was nice to be here with you.
And I am Tagg. This is my vibe. Just having the conversation.
Hitting it up.
We will catch you next video.
Peace out.